So hello everyone. So again, welcome to our discussion. And for today, this is the last um, video lecture for our series in adjusting entries. So we will be discussing the unearned income. So again, this is your instructor, Noel Bergonia. So just sit back, relax, take down notes. And if you do have questions, please let me know on our respective chat boxes or you can comment on this video lecture. Okay? Sige po. So let's now start our discussion. So previously, we have already introduced the first deferral, no, which is yung prepaid expenses. Diba? So ang point of view natin doon is the entity who have paid in advance. Okay, right now, we will be talking about the counterparty of that entity who have paid in advance. No? And we will be talking about now unearned income. So this unearned income is also known as unearned revenue, deferred income or deferred revenue, deferred credits, and also advances from customers. So in nature, when we talk about unearned income, okay, so it is an amount received in advance. So take note, we have received it in advance. So malamang sa malamang, we are the company who is giving the services or delivering the goods, no? And we have being paid in advance. Yung party na nagbabayad in advance was actually recording the prepaid expense. But for us who have received it in advance, so we will be recording the unearned income. Okay, but please take note that even though we have received it in advance, we have not earned it yet. Okay, kaya siya unearned income kasi na-receive lang natin siya in advance but not yet earned. Okay, this is also the kumbaga kabaliktaran ng accrued revenue. Kasi dun sa accrued revenue, kung naalala po ninyo, di ba, hindi pa natin nare-receive, okay, pero na-earned na natin. Ngayon dito, na-receive naman natin, pero we haven't earned it yet. Okay, so we will be talking about unearned income throughout this video lecture. And this might include unearned service income, okay, unearned rent, unearned subscription, and the likes. Kung naaalala po ninyo yung ating discussion in module number 1 and even module numbers 2 and 3, no? Pag sinabi nating unearned income or unearned revenue, okay, it will be classified automatically as liability, 'di ba? Kasi unearned income is actually a liability account. Now, even though such the case, no, itong unearned income po na ito is just like prepaid expense, which is considered as a mixed account. So pag sinabi ulit natin na mixed account po ito, this is the combination of being a real account, so permanent account such as the liability, and then we have also the characteristic of being a nominal account or temporary account. So partially, our unearned revenue will become a revenue. Okay, so magiging revenue po siya once we have already earned it. Okay, so pag na-earn na natin, it means that we have delivered the goods o kaya naman we have already performed the services. Magiging revenue or income na natin siya. But if it is not yet earned, no, it means that we are still recording it as a liability until such time that they will earn it in the future. Okay, so again, unearned income is a mixed account. Okay, so I hope that you can follow, no? So because of being a mixed account again, itong unearned income, in our recording process later, no, we will be encountering two methods as well. Pero hindi siya hawig dun sa prepaid, no? Kasi sa prepaid, we have the asset method and the expense method. Ngayon naman po, for unearned income, we will be recording it as liability dahil 'di ba sabi natin kanina na receive natin but not yet earned. But until such time na ma-earned natin siya, liability pa rin siya. And then pag na-earned na po natin, that's the time we're in, you will be recording or recognizing income or revenue naman. Okay, so the two methods are the liability method and the income or revenue method. So let's introduce the distinction between the two. So pag sinabi po nating liability method, this is a method where our liability account, which is specifically the unearned income itself, is credited when the revenue is received in advance. Okay, so pag may na-receive tayo, nakakolekta tayo in advance, dahil hindi pa nga po natin na ipoprovide yung service, you can account it for as liability muna. Okay? And that will be under liability method. Okay? So, kung mapapansin niyo no, parehas sila ng credit na normal balance, liability at saka revenue. So, once we receive cash, okay, i-credit natin yung liability. By the way, mamaya in the succeeding slide, we will have example pro forma entry about this. Okay? On the other hand, we will be having the revenue or income method naman wherein a revenue or income account will be immediately credited at the time that we have received in advance yung cash. Okay, because either we need to perform services or provide goods in the future. Okay, so either of the two no will be used. And again, to summarize, in terms of initial entry, no, in the liability method, we should immediately recognize a liability once we have received the cash. However, in the revenue method or income method, we will be recognizing immediately a revenue once we receive cash. Because of these differences no, with regards to the method, pagdating po sa adjusting entry, of course, magkaiba rin po yung ating way how to adjust. Okay, so at the end of the accounting period under liability method, di ba nilagay natin siya lahat as liability. So at the end of the period, of course, meron na tayong na-perform na service or meron na tayong na-delivered na goods. That's why we will be adjusting in the liability method what we so-called earned portion para ma-record natin yung revenue naman. Okay? Di ba? From liability, na-earned na natin, kaya dapat mag-record na tayo ng revenue. While under the revenue method naman po, nilagay niyang lahat as revenue. Pero the question is, are all being delivered already? Or have we performed already all of the services? If the answer is no or hindi pa, then it means that we will be adjusting for the unearned portion and we will be proportioning and transferring the amount na nandun sa revenue at hindi pa po na performed or hindi pa na-earned to a liability account. Okay? So I hope that you can follow. Now, to understand further itong differences between the two, let me show you the pro forma journal entries. Okay, so again, we have two set of transactions that we will encounter here. Okay, the first one is to record the receipt of cash. Okay, so in advance, please make sure that ito pong first entry na to is not an adjusting entry. Okay, this is actually an entry that we might have already been encountered in our discussion of module 2 and 3, diba? Sa journalizing the usual transactions. So to differentiate again the liability and income method or revenue method, under liability method, pag naka-receive tayo ng cash, we will put it as a liability. Kaya we debit cash, credit unearned income account, okay, which is a liability account. On the other hand, if it is income method, so we will be debiting cash, okay, and then we credit income account. Okay, so yun yung credit natin. So as you can see, no, magkaiba talaga sila ng naka-credit na account in the date of receipt of cash. Now, dito na po papasok yung differences as to adjusting entries as well. So in the end of the reporting period, no, we need to adjust. And for liability methods, we need to adjust for the earned portion. Kasi nilagay natin lahat sa liability, parang obligation natin na i-provide yung service. So after some certain period, na-earned na natin kasi nakapag-provide na tayo ng service or nakapag-delivered na ng goods. And then we will now be recognizing the earned portion by debiting our liability account, which is an earned income, and we will be crediting our income account. Meaning, we will be recording yung earned portion. On the other hand, under income method naman, nilagay natin lahat as income. But again, the question is, are they already performed all or na-delivered na ba natin lahat ng services? If the answer is no, then you need to adjust again for the unearned portion. And for the unearned portion, no, we need to debit the income. Babawasan natin yung income kasi hindi pa nga na-earned yung ibang portion. And then we will be recognizing a liability which will be credited in the unearned portion. Okay? So I hope that that is clear. So yan po yung pagkakaiba natin as to the adjusting entries. And do not forget, class, just like our prepaid discussion, no, that regardless of which method you are going to employ in any case about, sorry, about about an earned income, no, the reported amount of the income in the income statement, at the same time, the recorded liability in the balance sheet will be the same. So later, pag nandun na tayo sa mga examples natin, let's try to prove that our income and liabilities in our financial statements will be the same whether we use the liability method or revenue method. Okay. Moreover, no, just like as well prepaid expenses, we need to avoid confusions and waste time. Thus, we need to follow consistent method in applying for particular type of unearned income from period to period. Okay, so be consistent, and then also let's prove later, no, about the same amount in the income statement at sa balance sheet related to unearned income. Okay, so yan po yung ating theoretical discussions. Again, if you do have questions, just please let me know on our respective chat boxes. Okay. Sige. So let's now proceed with some examples that I have prepared, no, with regards to unearned income. So let's start with this first one. Okay, so on November 1, 2021, Cookie Company received a payment of 60,000 from a tenant. So tayo yung naka-receive ng payment from tenant covering 6 months starting November 1. So si customer natin or tenant natin nagbayad in advance ng renta niya good for 6 months. And then our accounting period is at year end, no, or annually, and it ends on December 31. Okay? So, una natin, i-record muna is yung receipt of cash, which is not an adjusting entry, but this is only the usual entry that we might have been recorded already, now during our discussion in module number 3. Okay? So, using the liability method, as mentioned to you a while ago, you will be crediting a liability account. So, magde-debit tayo ng cash, 60,000, and credit an earned rent, 60,000. Okay, so liability lahat muna. Then on the income method naman, we will be debiting cash 60,000 and crediting rent income 60,000. So nilagay na natin lahat as income under the income method. Now, as time goes by, natapos po yung November, and then tapos din yung December since we will be ending and reporting on December 31. So ilang buwan ang natapos? Of course, dalawa. November and December. Ilan pa ang hindi tapos? Of course, 4 na buwan kasi we have total of 6 months. 2 buwan yung natapos. So remaining would be 4 months. Now, we will be using those data in our adjusting entry. So we will adjust on December 31, 2021. For the liability method, as mentioned to you a while ago, you will be adjusting for the earned portion. So kanina, utang muna natin, obligasyon natin mai-provide, but we have provided already good for 2 months na rent, no? Natapos na kasi yung 2 buwan, kaya we will be recording the earned portion. And that earned portion will be recorded by, of course, how much? 60,000 times 2 months na nakalipas or tapos na or na-earned na natin yon all over the total of 6 months. So we will be recognizing the earned portion amounting to 20,000. So to recognize it, ang adjusting entry po natin is debit unearned rent para bawasan yung obligasyon natin kasi na-provide na natin yung service ng rent, 20,000, and we credit the rent income since we have earned it already, no, na i-provide na natin yung services amounting to 20,000. Okay? So I hope that that is clear, ha. So pag earned portion, it means we will be recognizing now an income. So let's see magkano pa po yung natitirang balance natin. So with regards to the unearned rent, initially may 60,000 po tayo, no, in the date of receipt of payment. Then binawasan natin siya ng 20,000 na earned portion. Thus, our remaining unearned as of the end of December 31, 2021 amounts to 40,000. And with regards naman doon sa rent income, based on sa naka-debit sa naka-credit sa adjusting entry, so we have 20,000. Okay, so later we will be proving this if this is equal to the income method as stated a while ago. Okay, so sa income method naman po tayo. So remember, under income method, nilagay natin siya lahat as income. But the question is, tapos na ba lahat yung pag-provide natin ng services sa tenants natin? The answer is no, di ba? So meron pa tayong 4 na buwan na natitira. So we will be adjusting naman for the unearned portion. And for the unearned portion computation, so yung 60,000 times yung 4 na buwan na hindi pa natatapos as of December 31 over the 6 months in totality, thus our unearned portion pa is 40,000. So actually that is referring to January up to April of the following year, kaya 4 months. So, pag nag-adjust tayo, bawasan nyo po yung income na ni-record nyo kanina. So, debit rent income, 40,000 and credit unearned rent, 40,000. Okay? So, that's our adjusting entry under income method to record the unearned portion. And lastly, to prove whether parehas ba yung balances ng income method over the liability method. So, let's check. Sa unearned rent, kung titignan ninyo yung series of entries natin, we have only 40,000. Diba? So 40,000 unearned rent under income method, which is also similar to the unearned rent under liability method. So check tayo dyan, no? Na-prove natin na tama. Then in the rent income naman, under income method, initially we have 60,000. Diba? Tapos, during the adjusting entry, nag-debit tayo ng 40,000. So kabawasan yun sa rent income. That's why our rent income lang at the end of December 31 amounts to 20,000. So are they the same, yung rent income ng liability method at saka ng income method? Yes, no? So we can prove that any of the method will be used, no, will just give us the same result. Kaya either of the two lang, which ever is applicable in our particular policy, at the same time, whatever is applicable in the problem, yun lang po yung gagamitin natin. But again, I am showing you right now, no, both of the methods, but during your exam, please make sure na isa lang yung gagamitin. Okay, not both. Okay, so proper identification of the method is the key to success. Kasi once na nagkamali kayo ng identification kung anong method, as you can see in the adjusting entry, kung adjusting entry yung tanong, mamamali kayo. Sa balances, wala kasing problema eh. Pwedeng parehas sila, no? Pag yun yung tinanong ko sa inyo. But of course, in the adjusting entry concept, magkaiba po sila. Okay? So I hope that that is clear. Again, if you do have questions, just please let me know on our respective chat boxes or you can comment below on this video lecture. Okay? So if you want to take a break, you can pause for a while. Then ako lang po ay dadaldal ng continue. Okay? Thus, I will be discussing now example number 2. Okay. So similar to example number 1, no, yung magiging approach natin sa example 2, where Tata Repair Shop received 270,000 payment from City Government of Pangasinan servicing police vehicles for 9-month period commencing October 1, 2021. The company prepares financial statements every December 31. So we are providing repair services to the government of Pangasinan, okay, for the police vehicles, good for 9 months. And we could say that, let's say it's proportionate doon sa ating months, no? So ilang buwan? 9 months period. So how do we account for it? Of course, dahil na-receive natin siya in advance and we are doing it for 9 months, then most likely, no, we will be considering it as unearned revenue. Okay, and again, under unearned revenue, we will be having our liability and income method, either of the two. So on October 1, at the time that we have commenced, no, the services natin, and at the same time yun din po yung ating date kung kailan na-received yung cash from the City Government of Pangasinan, we need to record our unearned amount. Okay? In the liability method, it will be debiting cash to 70,000 and credit unearned service revenue 270,000. So again, we have credited a liability account. While under income method, we will be debiting cash to 70,000 and credit service revenue to 70,000. So under income method, we will put our amount received in advance under income account. So after ilang months? 3 months, di ba? Kasi October, November, December. Okay, so after 3 months, now we need to adjust already since we need to prepare our financial statements. So on December 31, 2021, for our liability method, just like what we did in example 1, you need to record the earned portion. Okay, since we have already most likely provided services for the 3 months period, then recognize the earned portion by debiting unearned service revenue 90,000 and credit service revenue 90,000. So bakit dinebit yung unearned revenue? Para bawasan yung obligasyon natin, okay, dahil na-earned na natin. And also because we have earned it, then we need to recognize already a service revenue. So saan po nakuha yung 90,000? It's simply the 270,000 na total na na-receive natin times 3 months na nakalipas na nakapag-provide po tayo ng services over the 9 months period. Okay? So we have the earned portion na 90,000. Then if you want to know the balances, so for the unearned service revenue, initially you have 270,000. Then nabawasan on the adjusting entry ng 90,000. That's why our unearned service revenue at the end of 2021 amounts to 180,000. Okay, yan pa yung obligasyon natin sa natitirang 6 months period. As to the service revenue naman, since we have provided services for 3 months, then our service revenue based on the entry would be 90,000. Okay, so later we will be proving if it is the same with our income method. All right, so we're done with the liability method. Again, if you do have questions, please let me know. So dumako naman tayo sa income method. So we have already recorded kanina upon the receipt of cash to our service revenue account. Then ang question ulit, naibigay na ba lahat yung services natin? The answer is not yet, di ba? So we will be recording the unearned portion. And for the unearned portion, we will be recording how much? 180,000. So saan nakuha yun? 270,000 na total payment we have received times 6 months na hindi pa po na ibibigay yung services kasi 3 months pa lang yun na ibigay, di ba? Over the 9 months period, so it will be 180,000. So what we need to do in the adjusting entry is to debit service revenue para bawasan yung nilagay nating revenue kasi hindi pa nga po na ipoprovide yung service ng 6 months, 180,000, and credit the obligation that we need to provide on the succeeding 6 months amounting to 180,000. Okay, so that's our adjusting entry under income method, okay, for the unearned portion. Now, to conclude example number 2, if yung liability at income method ba will be the same after the adjusting entry, so let's find out. So in the unearned service revenue, as you can see the series of entry, ang meron lang po was credit to 180,000. So which means our unearned service revenue at the end of December 31, 2021 is 180,000, and it is the same with the unearned service revenue for the liability method. Okay, so ayan, equal sila. And then as to the rent, sorry, hindi siya rent. It should be service revenue. Okay, so for our service revenue on December 31, 2021, so 270,000 initially yung service revenue, and then you have deducted, debited 180,000 during the adjusting entry. That's why the service revenue natin, at the end of the year is 90,000. And as you can see, it is the same with the service revenue under the liability method. So again, no, we have proven that either liability method or revenue method or income method was used, they will just have the same ending balances. Ang pinagkaiba lang nila was at the time of payment, which is, remember, or collections rather, it is not an adjusting entry yet. Usual entry pa lang yan. And then the adjusting entry would be different from each other. Okay? So that's for our example number 2. Again, if you do have questions, just please let me know on our respective chat boxes. Okay, so I hope that you're still alive and learning. So let's continue with example number 3. Okay, so still unearned pa rin po tayo, no? So on February 1, 2021, Koya Publishing was contracted to deliver magazine to RJ Incorporated. The contract is for 24 issues of magazine. Now, Koya was paid 12,000 in advance. So we are Koya Publishing. So we have received in advance 12,000 for the 24 issues of magazine in advance on February 5. Now, by the end of the current year, works on 15 issues were delivered. So 15 out of the 24 was delivered. So now let's apply it using the 2 methods again, okay, so that we can prove whether magkaiba ba sila ng adjusting entry at saka magkaparehas ba yung kanilang balances. So first, no, on February 5, at the time that we have received our payment, no, in advance by RJ. Take note class, hindi Feb 1 ha. Yung Feb 1 was only contract. Feb 5 was the date of receipt. So the date that we are going to record the cash received was on February 5. So using the liability method, we put it as liability, so debit cash 12,000 and credit unearned subscriptions revenue 12,000. So liability account. While for the income method, you debit cash 12,000 and credit subscription revenue 12,000. Okay? So ayun ulit, pinagkaiba yung credited accounts in the initial entry. So sa liability method muna tayo, no? So on December 31, no, which is our year end, now we need to adjust for the earned portion. Diba? Ilang magazines na yung na-provide? 15 na. So ibig sabihin, we have already provided the magazine subscription na 15. So dapat na-earned na natin yon. And how to do it? Okay, so your 12,000 times the 15 na naibigay na po natin or na-delivered na until year end, all over the total magazine issues. So all in all, we have already provided the revenue amounting to 7,500. Okay? So yung 7,500 will be recorded as debit to unearned revenue, 7,500. So it means kabawasan yon sa obligation natin kasi naibigay na natin. And then we credit subscriptions revenue for the earned portion amounting to 7,500. Okay? As to the ending balances of our liability method, so yung unearned subscriptions natin, initially we have 12,000 peso, and then we have earned already 7,500, okay, which is evidenced by this debit in unearned subscription. So ang natitira na lang po natin unearned subscription for the remaining issues of magazine that we need to deliver in the future amounts to 4,500. Okay? So yun yung liability natin. And then the subscription revenue that you can found naman in the income statement will be 7,500. So yun po yung naka-credit in the earned portion natin. Okay. So later we will be proving if we have the same we have the same balance with the income method. Okay. So we have now the unearned portion naman sa income method. So since unearned portion yan, we are referring to the number of issues of magazines that are not yet delivered. So ilan po ba yon? 9 na lang, di ba? Kasi 24 yung total, 15 yung na-deliver, kaya we have remaining 9 magazine issues over the 24 issues ng magazine. Multiply it with the 12,000 in total. So, ang hindi pa po natin na i-deliver amounts to 4,500. So that is the amount to be recorded for the unearned portion. So debit, subscription revenue, 4,500. Bakit dinebit? Kasi nga nilagay natin initially lahat sa income, but they have not yet provided all of the issues of magazine. May natira pa. Kaya yung unearned portion should be deducted from the total revenue. Okay? So kabawasan sa revenue yon. And then we need to establish a liability for those na hindi pa po na ipo-provide na magazine issues. So credit unearned subscription revenue, 4,500. Okay? So I hope that that is clear for the unearned portion. So to double check no about the ending balances, so for the unearned subscription revenue, okay, di ba, sa series of entries natin in the income method, we have credited the unearned subscriptions worth 4,500. So yan po yung ating amount, which is similar to the liability in the liability method. So proven ulit na parehas lang. And then as to the subscriptions revenue, initially may 12,000 ka in the date of receipt of payment. Then in the adjusting entry, nag-debit tayo ng 4,500. So kabawasan po yun. Thus, our subscriptions revenue amounts to 7,500. So that 7,500 under income method is similar to our liability method. So we can therefore conclude that whether liability or income method ang ginamit, we will have the same result. Okay? So I hope that that is clear. Again, if you do have questions, please let me know on our respective chat boxes. Okay? So that's our example number 3. So if you want to pause for a while, then you can pause para makapagpahinga ka ng kaunti and then laban lang. Okay? So, but I will be continuing to example number 4. So in example number 4, we have Chimmy Company sells a newspaper by subscription for 15 peso per copy. During the year, 47,200 2-year subscriptions were sold. Okay, so nakabenta tayo during the year ng 47,200 subscriptions. Then as of January 1, 2021, okay, the unearned NP, unearned newspaper yan. Unearned newspaper revenue account. Okay, itong unearned na to is actually a liability account, no? Had a balance of 315,000. So ito po ay begbal, no? Yan yung begbal kasi at the start of the year yan yung balance, no, natin. So ano ulit ginagawa sa begbal? The begbal is just opened or recorded in the ledger, no, for the sake of opening the balance. But they will not be recorded in our general journal. Okay? So begbal lang yan, pero later we will be using that for our adjusting entry. Pero sa entry natin in the date of payment, walang effect po yan kasi na-record na yan malamang last year. Going back, at the year end daw, it was determined that the liability to provide subscribers future newspapers amounted to 613,000. Okay, so it may be confusing for the data, but again, we will just do the same, no? Either of the two methods muna. So bigay natin yung view, no? Whether we use liability method or revenue method in this case. Okay, so again, yung beginning balance ng as of January 1, 2021, hindi po yan i-record ha. Ilalagay lang natin yan sa ledger as opening balance. So you can refer to module number 3 for that discussion. Okay, so our entry would focus on the amount received during the year 2021 for the 47,200 na subscriptions natin. Okay? So if you will be using liability method, it will just simply be debit cash 708,000 and then credit unearned newspaper revenue 708,000. So saan po nakuha yung 708,000 na yan? So yung 47,200 na subscriptions during the year times yung 15 na price per copy. Okay? So 708. So thus, again, that will be your liability initially in the liability method. And then sa income method, ilalagay natin yung na-receive natin in advance no, as revenue. So debit cash, 708,000 and credit notes, newspaper revenue, okay, 708,000. So that's our entry no, upon the receipt. And again, this is not yet our adjusting entry. The adjusting entry will happen at the end of the year, December 31, 2021. So what will happen, class, no? Under liability method, we need to record yung earned portion. Magkano na po ba yung na-provide natin na newspapers to our subscribers? So initially, di ba, meron tayong begbal na 315,000, beginning balance. Then plus our liability, no, recorded once we have received the additional subscriptions during the year, 708,000. Then, as you have determined, ang hindi pa po na ipoprovide na newspaper was 613,000. So bawas po yun. Thus, ang na-earned na po natin is amounting to 410,000. Okay, 410,000 lang po yung na-earn natin. So that's, again, how it works if we have beginning balance. Okay, so ang entry natin for the earned portion is to debit the unearned newspaper revenue, debit unearned newspaper revenue, 410,000. So kabawasan yan sa obligation natin. And then credit newspaper revenue, 410,000. So that's because we have already the earned portion. Okay? So to show you kung parehas pa rin yung balances ng liability and income method, ito po yung sa liability method. So with regards to our unearned newspaper revenue, di ba, may 315 tayo initially na beginning balance plus 708 na nadagdag during the year. Then minus yung adjusting entry natin for the earned portion of 410. Thus, our unearned newspaper revenue, which is equal to the given in the problem, amounts to 613,000. Okay? 613,000. Same lang siya dito sa binigay sa problem. And then as to the newspaper revenue, as you can see in the entry for the earned portion, we have credited 410,000. So yun po yung ating income to be recorded. Okay? So let's prove later kung parehas ba yan doon sa ating balances under income method. Okay. So now let's move forward to the income method adjusting entry. So we need to adjust, of course, the unearned portion. So on December 31, 2021, kung mapapansin po ninyo, no, ang liability ending natin ay dapat maging 613,000. Pero at the beginning of the year, may 315,000 tayo. So just like what I did in the prepaid kanina, in the separate video lecture, no? So kung ano lang yung increase, yun na lang i-account ko as an earned portion additional. Okay, so kagaya nito, ang entry natin is 298,000. Okay, 298,000 from the difference of 613 and 315,000. Okay, sir, bakit hindi mo sinama sa computation yung 708,000? Kasi yung 708,000, we can presume that that is revenue. Ngayon, para sa unearned portion, ang kailangan ko lang is yung karagdagan dahil mula sa 350 na naka-record na liability, kailangan niya pong maging 613 lang. Okay, so ang entry natin is newspaper revenue. Okay, 298,000. Okay, and then credit unearned newspaper revenue, 298,000. So tignan natin kung paparehas ba siya sa liability method if such the case. So as to the balance of the unearned newspaper revenue, no? As you can see, merong 315,000 nung una. That's the beginning balance. Plus the unearned na in-adjust natin at year-end na to 98,000. So yes, that will be equal to 613,000. You can calculate it, 315,000 plus 298,000. That is also equal to your unearned revenue na 613,000 na yun din, yung liability under the liability method. Okay? So parehas. We have proven na parehas pa rin under liability and income method. And then with regards naman sa newspaper revenue, initially in the receipt of cash, 'di ba? Meron tayong 708 na newspaper revenue. And then in the adjustments of the unearned portion, we have debited it. So nabawasan ng 298,000 yung ating newspaper revenue. Thus, the remaining newspaper revenue is 410,000. Okay? So which is also similar sa newspaper revenue ng ating liability method. Okay? So I hope na nasundan ninyo yung ating sa example number 4. Again, if you do have questions, please let me know on our respective chat boxes. So yan po yung ating example number 4. So konti na lang class. I hope that you're still with me, no? Kalusuhan na ninyo yung mata ninyo na natutulog. Okay? So ayan. We're now down to our last example. Okay. So ito naman po is we will be using what is the appropriate method based on what is stated in the problem. Okay? So hindi na both method. So on October 31, 2021, Shuki Company had a balance of unearned rent. Okay, so unearned rent account yung binigay. So anong ano to? Anong account to? This is actually a liability, no? So kanina sa prepaid expenses natin, kung ano yung dinebit, yun po yung method. Or kung ano yung binigay na balance, yun din yung method. So same with that, yung gagawin natin dito sa unearned revenue. Kung ano yung balance na binigay, dahil hindi po in-state kung anong method, then yun po yung gagamitin natin. So dito, ang balance na binigay was unearned, a liability account, and it amounts to 30,000, which is related to 5 months rent collected in advance. Okay, so you need to prepare adjusting entry on November 30, 2021, which is 1 month after. Ibig sabihin na i-provide na natin yung services ng rent, no? And you have to report on a monthly basis. So the question here is, anong method kaya yung mas appropriate? Okay? Hindi natin ipiprepare yung dalawa ha. Based on the given data, dahil ang binigay na balance was unearned rent and that is a liability, thus we will be using our liability method. Okay? Just like prepaid, dito po kung ano yung balance na ibinigay, okay? Yun po yung ating method. Okay? It will represent the method. So kung unearned rent, a liability account, edi gamitin natin yung liability method. Okay? So kung liability method yan, we will adjust for the earned portion on November 30, 2021. So isang buwan lang naman, di ba? Kasi October 31 yung binigay na balance, which is your beginning balance for the month of November. So 30,000 times 1 month na na-earned na natin over the 5 months period. So that's 6,000. So our entry is debit unearned rent 6,000 and credit rent revenue 6,000. Again, this is for the earned portion of the balance given to us na liability. Okay? So if you want to know magkano po yung balance na natitira to be presented in your financial statement, so for the unearned revenue, may 30,000 ka initially. Then, na-earned natin is 6,000, nag-debit ka in the adjusting entry. Kaya ang remaining na lang pong unearned was 24,000. Okay? And then, since as you can see in the adjusting entry, meron tayong credited rent revenue na 6,000. So thus, that is also the amount of our rent revenue. Okay? So, finally, no, please remember that whenever I gave you exercises and hindi ko po sinabing parehas na method ang gagawin, you need to check two items. Either pinag-entry kita, okay, pag binigyan kita ng entry, ano yung naka-credit, 'di ba? Is it a liability? Okay? Or is it an income? 'Di ba? Yan yung entry upon the receipt of cash. So if it is liability, then use the liability method. And if it was recorded as income, then you use the income or the revenue method. Okay, so that's the first one. And then, if ever na ang ibigay sa inyo ay balances, so gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, whatever is the balance given, it's either liability yung binigay or income yung binigay, then that will represent your method to be used. So in accordance with the method, makukuha mo yung adjustments, either earned portion ba or unearned portion. Eh sir, paano yan pag naging silent yung problem? Walang balance, hindi rin binigay kung ano yung naka-credit sa initial entry. So, ang assumption natin kung ang prepaid expenses kanina ay asset method, ngayon naman po dito sa ating unearned revenue, we will be using at a default liability method. So please take note of that, that again, if the problem is silent, you cannot identify what method is to be used because there is no balance given or hindi po rin po binigay kung ano yung entry na upon collection, then our default will be liability method. Okay, so I hope that everything is clear. Again, if you do have questions, just please let me know on our respective chat boxes. All right, so this is now the end of our series of discussions about adjusting entries. So I hope that you have learned something to prepare you in our discussion in module number 5. Again, this is only about a gist of how do we adjust, based on the data given to us. But we will be using this formally in our accounting process pagdating po natin ng module number 5. Okay? So again, if you do have questions, please let me know lang po on our respective chat boxes or you can comment your questions in this video lecture. So with that, thank you very much. Have a great day. Kamsahamnida. Kapon ka. Sayonara. Have a great day and stay safe. God bless everyone. Bye-bye. See you on my next video lectures.